Shawn Michaels' return to Montreal as a heel, if not for one night, gave the wrestling world the greatest heel promo it's ever seen. This promo had everything, from cadence to backstory to animosity, a hostile environment, even Shawn Michaels sparring with vile Canadian chants off rip and beating Canada into submission. There's so many reasons this was the greatest heel promo ever, and we're going to get into all of them. 2005 was a great year for WWE. John Cena was on the come up, so was Big Dave. ECW made one hell of a comeback, and so did Shawn Michaels. Yes, I realize Shawn Michaels made his in-ring return in 2002, and the second half of his career was arguably better than the first half, but in 2005, the Shawn Michaels that made Michael Hickenbottom famous was back, because he was a heel, and it slapped. In 2005, heel HBK came through like hurricanes do. He spent 99% of his second run as a babyface, but boy did he make the most out of that 1% with a 1-month heel run, better than most heel runs that go on for years. Everything about HBK's short-lived stint as a heel was perfect. Here's how good Shawn Michaels was as a heel in 2005. From July 4th to August 21st, 2005, Shawn Michaels gave us his legendary heel turn on Hulk Hogan, the classic Larry King segment mocking Hogan, the even more classic overselling match at SummerSlam 2005, where Michaels showed elements of the old Shawn Michaels by going into business for himself in order to show up an opponent he did not like in real life. Shawn threw somewhat of a temper tantrum in the ring due to real-life circumstances of Hogan refusing to do the job for him, or at least that's what the streets say.
We were going to do the best of three, okay, the last minute backed out. So that day, and I will admit this, I poked the bear all day. You know what I mean? I already knew what I was going to do. I was going to go out there and do business, but I was going to make him earn it just to be a pain in the butt all day. That was something I did just for my own enjoyment, and that isn't right, it isn't professional, but it is the truth.
Anyways, these were all classic moments, and they happened in the span of just over a month. And somewhere in between, on August 15th, 2005, Shawn Michaels delivered what I consider to be the greatest heel promo of all time. The stars really aligned for Shawn Michaels' run as a heel because the Heel Break Kid comeback tour would see him travel to Montreal, Canada, which is a pro wrestling equivalent to the New York Yankees traveling to Boston, or Aaron Rodgers in Chicago, or the Elite in Chicago. 8 years earlier, Shawn Michaels played a hand in the demise of Bret Hart in WWE with the infamous Montreal Screwjob. Honestly, the less said about that, the better, because documentaries about the Montreal Screwjob are as redundant as wrestling storylines about the Montreal Screwjob. By 2005, any Montreal Screwjob reference was already old hat. In fact, the Montreal Screwjob had been remixed more times than a Diddy album. Sting did it against Hogan in 97. The Rock did it against Mankind in 98. Even Bret Hart got in on the action against Goldberg in 99. But this was different. Even the NFL tried to do a Montreal Screwjob angle with the Fail Mary, but that's a whole nother story that I don't want to get into. I don't even know why you brought it up. But this was different. This wasn't a recreation or a cheap ripoff. This homage to the Montreal Screwjob featured the culprit himself as a heel in Canada, on Ground Zero. Canadians are nice to everybody except Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels knew it. Raw opened to one of the most hostile reactions that year when HBK's music hit in the Bell Center and the place booed him like he was Dana Brooke in NXT. Hashtag Dana deserves better. This was a type of heat that most heels would be thrown off by, but Shawn was ready. It was like he'd been writing this promo since the day he hung up his motorcycle boots in 98. But now he was back to stop a mud hole in Montreal and dance it dry. The second Shawn Michaels walked out to this hostile reaction, he was basically swimming in it. He's got his full heel suit on for now, and he doesn't even give these rabid Canucks the satisfaction of kneeling to the Lord. Because for Shawn Michaels, he is the god of Canada. You kneel to him. As if the tone needed to be set, Raw cuts to a sign that reads, "Montreal hates HBK." And before his music even shuts off, Shawn begins with one of the coldest opening lines in heel promo history. "Who's your daddy, Montreal?" The place melts down for the first of many times, and Shawn Michaels couldn't be any prouder of himself.
Now a word from our sponsors. Have you ever Googled yourself only to be shocked to find all the personal, detailed information that's about you? Man, I just Googled my cousin and I couldn't believe all the detailed information about him that popped up on all these people search websites. And guess what? He couldn't believe it either. Data brokers are making a fortune selling your information to robocallers, spammers, and others who want to learn more about you, like where you live. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. Aura can identify data brokers exposing your information and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Brokers are legally required to remove your information if you ask them, but a lot of them make it really hard, and it's not as easy as just hitting the unsubscribe button. Let Aura handle that for you. It's really easy to set up, so you don't have to download several different apps to get things like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, identity theft insurance, and more. You get everything at one affordable price. I do it all: Forbes, Wrestling Inc., StreamYard, Pro Wrestling Bits, so I've got a lot of logins. And Aura's password management is the best password manager I've ever dealt with. So user-friendly. Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online so you can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. You can either let people continue to exploit you and profit off your private information, or you can go to aura.com/PWB to start your free 2-week trial, also linked in my description.
After about 30 seconds of "you screwed Bret" chants that could have gone on all night, Shawn Michaels doubles down and sings his own rendition of the Canadian national anthem. All he had to say was, "Oh, Canada," and they booed him like he was a proud black man in Kentucky. Just listen to this.
Oh, Canada.
Michaels then sidestepped Hogan chants to dig up his 1997 string of nicknames. The showstopper, the headliner, the main event, the icon. This nostalgic soliloquy, try saying that 5 times fast, was also showered in ear-piercing jeers as Montreal continued to froth at the mouth. Look, I'm not into hockey, but this building filled with angry Canadians must be what a Maple Leafs playoff game feels like. In fact, our hero was once again peppered with chants of "you screwed Bret," and he was unbothered. Been there, done that. Shawn knew exactly where this promo was going, and after plugging his match with Hulk Hogan for SummerSlam, Shawn Michaels pulled out a tub of Lowry's and rubbed salt in Canada's biggest wound, but not before confidently waiting out another asshole chant. We are 5 minutes into this promo. It hasn't even peaked yet, and for those of you counting at home, Montreal has chanted "you screwed Bret," Hogan, asshole, and when they weren't chanting, they were booing vociferously. But it has only just begun, because at the 5-minute mark exactly, Shawn Michaels says 2 words and 1 number: Survivor Series 1997. Shawn gloats about beating Bret Hart in the infamous Montreal Screwjob in the middle of Montreal. Can you imagine if like Barack Obama pulled up to the antebellum South talking about November 4th, 2008, and an apoplectic crowd wastes no time chanting "we want Bret." "You want Bret?" said Michaels. The crowd explodes. He's just toying with them at this point, like a mountain lion using a chicken finger to pick its teeth. "You're not gonna get Bret because I screwed Bret." This promo started out at about a 9, but this is where the promo separates itself into its own category of greatness, one that transcends any grade or subjective opinion. This is when the promo becomes immortal, because what Shawn Michaels does would go on to be imitated and duplicated throughout every wrestling promotion to this day. This is where the promo becomes influential at an all-time level, when Shawn Michaels delicately teases these fans of a possible Bret Hart appearance. The brilliance of this moment is all in the subtlety. Shawn Michaels was playing the heel, and he did so in a way that made it seem like he was about to get his comeuppance. Dismissively, arrogantly, with all the overconfidence of a verse from Drake, Shawn was all like, "If Bret Hart had any guts, and he walked down that aisle tonight, step foot in this ring, and look me eye to eye like a man, I tell him, Hitman, I screwed you once, and I do it again." These fans were ready for somebody, anybody, to shut this guy up, but they all thought it was gonna be Bret, and that was by design. Shawn Michaels lulled these fans into hope, something that he made look so much easier than it really is, especially in modern day wrestling in the era of the quote-unquote smart wrestling fan, who's all in the dirt sheets and all in the gossip sites. And just listen to the reaction when Bret Hart's music finally hit. Hart had sworn off of WWE since '97 and stayed true to that promise with 0 WWE live appearances through 2005. 8 years later, it didn't matter. Whether these fans knew it or not, and they were going to learn a couple times that night, Shawn Michaels had put them in a trance and they were under his spell. Shawn Michaels had brilliantly trolled this audience into believing, and believe they did. And it wasn't just Montreal, by the way. Bret Hart fans like myself, even at an age where I had been reading wrestling gossip websites for years, I fell for it. And so did you, right up until Shawn laughed in all our faces. Brutal. Bret Hart's music shuts off and Montreal turns up. Got your hopes up just a little bit, didn't I? Shawn vows that Canada will never hear or see Bret the Hitman Hart inside a WWE ring again. And he was right. For about another 5 years, and then they hugged it out. But back to this heel shit. Shawn Michaels is straight feeling himself and healing himself. He comes out here with his live microphone and he does what he wants when he wants to do it. Shawn shifts his attention back to Hogan, taunting him by mocking his catchphrase. What you gonna do, brother? What you gonna do? Now Hogan's music hits and the crowd goes wild again. Unlike Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan was signed to WWE. Unlike Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan was advertised to be in the building on this night. Similar to Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan was a hero in Canada, despite Hogan being a real American. So when Hogan's music hit, it was way more likely that Hulk Hogan would walk out and, to borrow a phrase, give Shawn Michaels what for. And Shawn Michaels knew that. Shawn removed his jacket in preparation for the Hulkster, making the confrontation even more real. And here comes Hogan. Psych. Hogan's music came and went. No Hogan. People were pissed. Shawn was in his bag. With the Bell Center at threat level orange for a riot, which a riot in Canada is really just thousands of people shaking their fists, this promo somehow gets even better after a second fake-out. After reminding Canada that nobody in this industry can touch him, fans start to turn on Shawn. Like in a real way this time. There was definitely legitimate resentment in the moments leading up to this, but now Montreal wanted Shawn Michaels gone. They were sick of his antics at a legitimate, visceral level, and I had lost count of the number of chants to this point, but this next one was the most bitter. Na 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 na. Fans were actually singing for Shawn Michaels to say goodbye. Fans recently started singing Seth Rollins' theme over heel promos, and if this becomes a thing, 99% of modern day heels will be helpless to stop it. The goodbye chant is in that exact same category, but in every facet of pro wrestling, Shawn Michaels ain't just anybody. Shawn Michaels is the 1%. What Shawn Michaels did completely disarmed tens of thousands of acidic French Canadians. He was getting so much heat he was about to turn these French Canadians into fringe Canadians. But what did Shawn Michaels do? Nothing. He took his time, removed his tie, sat down in the middle of the ring and waited for this arena-wide tantrum to pass. When they stopped chanting, just like he knew they would, Shawn Michaels picked back up with another gem of a line. Now that you understand who's running this show, I'll continue. What's great about this promo is that it wasn't just about Shawn Michaels trolling Canada. That was the crux of it, and that's what it'll always be remembered for, but it was levels to this. Somewhere in between Shawn's Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan fakeouts, Shawn cut a promo on Hulk Hogan that would have been an excellent promo on its own merits. Shawn compared Hulk Hogan to Bret Hart and said Bret Hart stood for something that in his real life did not exist, but he stood in judgment of Shawn Michaels. Hulk Hogan, on the other hand, stands for just about anything. Shut the fuck up! Uh-oh. Montreal isn't ready to give up quite yet. Fans are now at a fevered pitch, just as Shawn Michaels manipulated them to be, and chants of shut the F up rained down from the Bell Center. In a spot where mere mortals would panic, freeze up, or try to talk over these vulgar chants, Shawn Michaels casually removed his shirt. Boy, he's really living up to this stripper gimmick. A half-naked Shawn Michaels delivered one final knockout blow to a formidable opponent. Nice language! Do you teach your kids the same talk? Canada is all about family values. It's what Bret Hart used to brag about when he was cheered in his home country in the 90s, even as a heel. Now, here are the Canadians sending a vulgar chant to the heel American, and Shawn used their own wholesome values against them. It worked like a charm, and it was Montreal, not Shawn Michaels, who immediately shut the F up. To borrow a phrase, Shawn disarmed them once, and he did it again. Shawn Michaels brings it all home by promoting his dream match against Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam. Hogan's one move from his star being snuffed out. And if you don't believe me, just ask Bret the Hitman Hart. Mic drop. GOAT heel promo. There have been a lot of heel promos in consideration for the greatest of all time. Like Vince McMahon's Bark Like a Dog promo comes to mind. To me, that's right up there as an all-time great. I don't care how it ages. If you're afraid of things that don't age well, maybe you're an ageist and you need to get that checked out. Sounds more like a personal problem to me. Was Bark Like a Dog a despicable, rotten, vulgar promo? Yeah, sure. Are heels despicable, rotten, vulgar people? Okay then, what the F are we talking about? Vince's Bark Like a Dog promo was amazing, but WWE has done just about everything to wash its hands of it. WWE loves its history, but Bark Like a Dog is often left out of that history like the Trail of Tears in a high school textbook. And on top of that, it's not like it was a highly influential promo. Elements of Shawn Michaels' promo in Montreal have been copied more times than the Montreal Screwjob, but nobody has dared to try to recreate the Bark Like a Dog promo in the snowflake era of cancel culture. Vince had another banger with the Life Sucks and Then You Die promo on SmackDown.
Life sucks, and then you die.
But again, it had very little staying power and is only a promo you come across on YouTube like, damn, that was an awesome promo. How did I forget about this? Nobody will ever forget about Shawn Michaels' 2005 heel promo in Montreal. It had everything. A hostile crowd booing a lightning rod wrestler with a silver tongue and a sharp wit. But the Bell Center was no match for Shawn Michaels, who not only used every heel trick in the book to combat them, he made up a couple of his own along the way. For my African dollars, this was the greatest heel promo of all time. Check out this video about the overrated Kenny Omega Will Ospreay match and subscribe. What's your favorite heel promo? Tell me in the comments!